When it comes to content, most businesses or CEOs or CMOs or even personal brands think revenue growth comes from two things: more views or more ads. The truth, views don't pay the bills and ads don't build loyalty. Customers do. Yet I see it every week, leaders chasing vanity metrics or pouring thousands into ad spend only to wonder why their pipeline is dry and their business isn't scaling. But not anymore. This is why I put together this video, the only content strategy workshop every business and brand will ever need. I'll show you the strategy we use to turn content into predictable revenue without chasing the algorithm or burning money on ads. How do I know this? I'm glad you asked. I'm Akash Damodaran, founder of Unimedia, and for the past 4 years, my team and I have helped numerous clients from Google, Sennheiser, Intuit to over 15 personal brands build predictable revenue engines. For instance, we have helped WaterAid, one of the biggest NGOs in the world, secure a whopping $1.8 million in government funding, not by going viral, not by burning cash on ads, but by mastering content strategy. And not just that, this is the same strategy that helped me build this very media company into a multi-six-figure company, all because we had a solid content strategy. And so in this session, I'm giving you the exact blueprint. Think of this as your unfair advantage, the roadmap that shows you how to turn your content into customers from day one. And by the end of this workshop, you'll know exactly how to stop working for the algorithms and start making the algorithms work for you. To make this even easier, I put together the Media Machine Starter Pack, a free 30-day content calendar and engine blueprint, so you can take what you learn here and put it into action immediately. Comment Starter Pack below and I'll send it straight to you. The truth is, most businesses, whether it's a Fortune 500 company with a full-blown marketing team and budget, or a solopreneur running a personal brand, they all fail at content for the same three reasons. The publish and hope trap. They post videos, LinkedIn posts, or reels with a vague strategy, either replicating something that has worked for other brands or whatever is the trend at the moment, hoping something sticks. This isn't marketing. This is basically just gambling. 2, the monetization myth. Too many leaders think if we just get more views or once we hit monetization, the revenue will follow. For people who are looking to monetize on YouTube using the YouTube Partner Program, you need 1,000 subs plus 4,000 watch hours to even qualify. And even then, 100,000 views at a $5 CPM is equal to $500. Months of work, but very little payout, a tiny payout. And all that if your audience is global. If you're in a niche, CPM is often far lower. And for corporate brands, they're constantly figuring out how to increase views and impressions, just hoping that once the post or video gets in front of a person, they'll end up buying into the brand and make the actual sale. 3, the vanity metric problem. Businesses tie content success to views, likes, or followers, but vanity metrics don't build pipelines. I mean, they don't even create revenue. These are great from a purely numbers perspective, but having worked with numerous brands where they struggle to monetize with a few tens of thousands of subscribers and followers too, playing the numbers game is not a reliable strategy. And so here's the harsh reality. Without a system, content is just noise. And that's why most businesses either burn out or give up before ever seeing ROI. Earlier I mentioned how most businesses approach content with what I call the publish and hope method. Now let's go deeper into what that really means and how you can flip the script to make the algorithm work for you instead of the other way around. Here's the default playbook I see all the time. A brand looks at what's trending, copies a video that's already done well, throws it out into the world and hopes the algorithm picks it up. And sure, sometimes you might see a spike, your videos get a few thousand views and you think, okay, let's double down on this. So you make more content chasing the same trend. But here's the catch. Those videos don't align with your actual niche or audience. The algorithm starts pushing your content to random viewers who don't care about your offer. They don't engage, which signals to the algorithm this content isn't worth surfacing further. End result, you've either built a really broad scattered audience who will never buy from you, or worse, you're back to square one, no reach, no growth, no sales. And that's what happens when you work for the algorithm instead of making the algorithm work for you. So let's actually flip this. Instead of chasing what's popular, your job is to train the algorithm. Think of it like hiring a salesperson. If you give them a clear script and a clear plan, they'll close the right clients on your behalf. If you send them out blind, they'll waste time knocking on random doors and that'll get you nowhere. And so training the algorithm means giving it consistent targeted signals, showing it exactly who your audience is, and publishing content that solves specific problems for that exact group or your specific audience. If you do this, suddenly the algorithm becomes your unpaid marketing assistant. It goes out and finds the exact people you want to reach. Let's fix this by starting at the foundation. Who are you really creating content for? This is what I call the audience of one approach. One person, one persona, one audience slice. So it's imperative for you to do that. You need a positioning statement. And so the positioning statement for your brand should be something along the lines of, I or we help specific person achieve specific result without pain point. Example, I help six-figure founders turn content into customers without needing a full-time media team. Another example, my SaaS product helps enterprise clients streamline all their CRM data without the need for an active admin or sales rep. It sounds way too detailed, but that clarity is how you win. Case in point, Emma, one of our clients, she made $24,000 within 4 months with just under 8,000 followers. Might be wondering, how do you make that much money with just 8,000 followers? It's because every single piece of content was laser targeted to her market of one. Not everyone, just the right one. If you try to speak to everyone, you'll resonate with no one. Which means if you're trying to sell to everyone, you're basically selling to no one. And this is why going viral just doesn't work well for sales. If you're listening to this thinking, this is all super overwhelming, my team and I just don't have the bandwidth or the time to do all of this. Well, that's literally why Unimedia exists. We basically become your personal media house from strategy, shooting, support, editing, publishing, analytics, titles, thumbnails, platform pivots, everything. We're currently adding 2 clients to the roster, and if you're ready to skip the call and sign up right now, we'll credit you $500 back on your first month. But if you're the type who prefers a call first, that's fine too. You just don't get the $500 credit in that case, but either ways, reach out because we'd love to help you out. Both links are in the description below. Alright, so now you understand the principle to stop working for the algorithm and start making it work for you instead. And here's the next step. Once you know exactly who your ideal audience is, you've got to train the platforms, be it YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, to recognize who you're creating for and to keep showing your content to the right people. This is where most brands and creators mess up. They might know their audience in theory, but their content is just too broad, too inconsistent, or just too random. If you really want to win and you want your brand to make money in the process, then every single video, post, or piece of content you put out must be specific and relevant to that exact audience segment you want to serve. This is because when your content is specific, the right people engage with it. When the right people engage, the algorithm gets a strong signal, okay, so this video is resonating with this type of person. Then the algorithm starts looking for more people just like them and surfaces your content in all the right places. And that's how you create a compounding loop of relevance. Think about it this way. Algorithms are like matchmakers. They're constantly trying to match viewers with the right content, but they only know what to do based on the signals you give them. So if you publish a video about healthy vegan diets one week, a random gaming video the next, and then a business tip the week after, the algorithm is super confused. It doesn't know who to serve you to. But if you consistently create content around, say, like in our case, helping entrepreneurs and personal brands build a content engine that drives revenue, now the algorithm has a very clear file on you. This channel equals content strategy for business leaders and personal brands. Let's keep serving it to founders, CMOs, entrepreneurs, and creators who fit that profile. Let me give you another example. We worked with a client who ran a coaching business. At first, their channel was all over the place. Productivity tips, travel vlogs, even a random cooking video. Like nothing was consistent. And guess what? The views trickled in, but the algorithm had no idea who to show their channel to. Once we helped them get laser focused on their ideal audience segment, basically busy executives looking for stress-free productivity systems, their channel transformed. The algorithm started surfacing their videos not just in search, but also in suggested videos and even on the homepage of people in that exact niche. Same creators, same effort, but once the algorithm knew who they were for, their growth and leads skyrocketed. So step 1 is knowing your ICP. And step 2 is feeding the platforms the right signals by staying consistent and relevant. And if your brand does this, then here's a massive unlock. Going back to the topic of algorithms, they don't just push your content in one place. There are multiple distribution doors where your videos can be surfaced. Again, in the example of YouTube, it could be on search, where people are actively typing in keywords. It could also be in suggested videos, the sidebar, or end screen recommendations. It could also be on the home feed or browse features where the algorithm decides what's relevant for a user right now. Most creators only optimize for one of these. It's usually search. But if your content is hyper-targeted, the algorithm starts cross-surfacing you across all 3. That's when you start winning because the algorithm recognizes a pattern. Like I said before, the algorithm starts thinking, this video is perfect for a specific type of person. Let me find more of these people. And just like that, you're no longer chasing the algorithm. On the contrary, the algorithm is chasing your audience on your behalf. Alright, so to quickly recap, once you defined your ICP and consistently creating content for them, the algorithm starts to recognize who you're for and does the heavy lifting of finding more of those people. But here's the catch, and I'm sure you have faced this challenge before. The algorithm doesn't just magically figure this out on day one. It relies on many signals. And those signals come from three big buckets. Bucket number one, what you're actually saying in the video. This is the meat of your content. If your videos are about productivity hacks one week, crypto the next, and cooking the week after, the algorithm is super lost. But if your content is consistently about one thing, like in our case, say helping entrepreneurs and brands turn content into customers, then the algorithm gets a fair idea of who they need to serve this content for. So the actual words you say in your video, the stories you tell, the examples you use, all of it feeds the system. Like literally all the words I'm using right now. Bucket number two, your metadata. That's your SEO, your keywords, your tags, your descriptions, even your titles. These aren't just for humans skimming YouTube, they're also how the algorithm understands the context of a video. Think of metadata as labels you stick on a package. If the labels are wrong or too vague, the delivery system doesn't know where to send it. But when they're accurate and consistent, it's like putting a big neon sign that says, send this directly to entrepreneurs, founders, and personal brands in our case. That's how you make sure your videos land in front of the right eyes. And bucket number three, audience feedback. And this is the big one. The algorithm is constantly asking questions like, did people click on this video? That's CTR, click-through rate. Did they actually watch it, or did they drop off after 15 seconds? That's basically retention. Did they like, comment, share, or binge another video from you? That's engagement. These are the signals that tell the algorithm this video didn't just reach the right people, it resonated with them. And when it resonates, the algorithm says, cool, let's show it to 10 more, 100 more, and then eventually 1,000 more. And that's how distribution snowballs. Now here's the important part. All of these signals only start to compound once you're consistent. If you upload once, disappear for a month, and then come back, the algorithm has no data to work with. But if you show up consistently, that could be a weekly or a bi-weekly cadence with content that's relevant, properly tagged, and designed for your ICP, the algorithm starts building a stronger and stronger profile of your channel. And honestly, you could try and post daily, but like I mentioned earlier, all these smaller bits matter. And so if you can keep up with that cadence of publishing daily and still kind of check all these boxes, by all means you should do it. But if you can't, it's better for you to pick a cadence and a frequency that works well for you. And when the algorithm finally builds a strong profile for your channel, you're no longer guessing, and you're definitely no longer hoping. The algorithm works for you. It starts showcasing your videos in search, suggested feeds, and even home pages of the exact people you want to reach. And if you're thinking, okay, Akash, I get it, but how do I figure out what content to create so I'm always training the algorithm correctly? That's exactly why I built the Media Machine Starter Pack. Inside, you'll get a 30-day content calendar and engine blueprint that makes it stupid simple to know what to post, when to post, and how to keep everything aligned to your ideal customer persona. Comment starter pack below and I'll send it over. Alright, so now you have done the hard part. You've trained the algorithm, you're building the right audience, and people are slowly starting to trust you because your content consistently speaks to their pain points. Here's the crucial question. How do you actually turn all this attention into money? Here's an important thing to remember. Views don't pay your bills and likes don't definitely cover your payroll. But revenue only comes when you have something to sell, something your ideal customer actually wants. And this is where most creators, brands, and even CMOs drop the ball. They either try to sell too early, or they build all this trust and attention, and then they have no clear offer, or they throw up something random that doesn't match the audience that they've nurtured. Let's actually go a little deeper. There are two scenarios here. Scenario one is you're already a business. You've already got products, services, maybe even an entire sales team. Amazing. The good news is that everything you have done up until now and up until this point, building the right audience, naturally aligns with what you're selling. So that's great. Now the challenge is actually positioning that offer inside your content. And I'll show you a framework for that in a moment. Scenario number two is you're a personal brand or an individual. You don't have a product yet, or you're still figuring out what to sell. In that case, the smartest move is to start with what you already know, your skills. Productize your expertise and package it into something scalable. Maybe it's a course, a cohort, a digital product, or even a membership community. Again, there are pros and cons to each one of these, but the future for personal brands and individuals is trying to figure out how you can really monetize your skill set in any of these forms. So do some research and figure out which particular piece you need to pick. But at the core of it, the form doesn't matter as much as the fit. The key is whatever you sell has to directly align with the audience you've been building. Now let's talk about what actually makes something sell. It's definitely not features, it's not data, it's not even fancy branding. At the end of the day, people pay for transformation. People don't buy products, they buy better versions of themselves. So instead of thinking, I'm selling a course on Instagram marketing, think, I help early stage founders go from confused about content to generating qualified leads on autopilot so they can focus on scaling their business. Again, I know it sounds very detailed, but the difference is night and day. That is a zero to hero transformation. That's what makes someone lean in and say, yes, I need this. Again, it's crucial to know that someone needs to be your ideal customer profile. It needs to be your ideal audience member. Otherwise, none of this makes sense. So if you're confused or vague about this, then here's how you can structure it for yourself. I help specific person go from painful zero state to desired hero state so that they can get whatever the ultimate benefit is. That's it. For example, I help busy founders and executives go from burning time on random content to having a predictable media system that generates clients every single month. This is basically what I share on behalf of Unimedia. And so the more specific you get, the better. And so when you frame your offer this way, your content becomes the bridge. People watch your videos, recognize their zero state, see you talk about the hero state, and naturally connect the dots that your product or service is the vehicle. And through the course of doing all of this, you're also building trust, right? So trust also kind of adds to the mix. And here's the kicker. People who already vibe with your content, who comment, DM you, binge your channel, they're usually the first ones to buy. Because like I said, they trust you. They share the same pain points you keep addressing. And this is why you don't need millions of views or sponsorships to make money. You just need the right 1,000 people or even the right 100 depending on your offer. So to wrap this segment up, once you have the right audience, the real money comes from having the right offer. Whether you're a business or a personal brand, your job is to package transformation, not just information. Because when you align your offer with your audience, you're no longer waiting on ads or praying for sponsorships. You're actually in control. Alright, so up until now, we've talked a lot about how to train the algorithm, how to get it to work for you instead of the other way around, and these different platforms. But let's be brutally honest about something most people ignore. At the end of the day, none of these platforms actually belong to you. Your YouTube subscribers, not yours. Your Instagram followers, not yours. Even that TikTok audience that your brand works so hard to build, not yours either. Because if the platform decides to change the rules tomorrow, or worse, shut down your account, it's gone. Years of effort just gone. I mean, we saw this with Wine and a few other platforms in the past, right? And here's another kicker. You also don't have full control over the algorithm. You can influence it, yes, like we discussed earlier. You can try and train it, yes, but you can't own it. And that's a huge risk if your goal is to actually build a sustainable business. So what's the fix? It's simple. You need to move people from those rented platforms into a space that you own. And the best way to do that is through a newsletter or an email list. Because here's the difference. When someone signs up to your email list, they're not a passive follower anymore. They're raising their hand and saying, yes, I trust you enough to let you into my inbox. And when someone willingly gives you their email, the chances of them becoming a hot lead and eventually a customer shoots up dramatically. Now think about how powerful this is. Not only do you now own that connection, but you can also use your newsletter to trigger a flywheel effect. For example, let's say you publish a new video. Instead of waiting around for the YouTube algorithm to start recommending it, you can directly send it to your list. That's an instant built-in audience. People who already trust you, who are more likely to click, watch, and engage. And when they do engage, the algorithm notices. It goes, oh, this content is super sticky. People are watching it all the way through. And then it pushes your video to even more of the right people. So now, instead of playing the lottery with views, you have engineered your own little distribution system, a predictable one that you actually control. Now you might be wondering, how do you even start building this email list? You do it through a lead magnet. A lead magnet is basically you saying, here's something valuable for free in exchange for your email. Now I'm not sure if you noticed this or not, but I've been doing the same thing with you in this very video. Remember the Media Machine starter pack I mentioned earlier? That 30-day content calendar and engine blueprint? That's not just any freebie. It's your on-ramp into my ecosystem. You get real value immediately, and I get to build a deeper connection with you beyond just YouTube. And that's the model. Viewer to a call to action or CTA to a lead magnet to an email list. And once they're on your list, that's where you can ethically sell. Because these people already believe in your brand, they already see your value, and they already know you, and they're far more likely to buy. So whether you're a business, a founder, or a personal brand, here's the cold hard truth. If you don't own your audience, you don't own your business. That's why you must prioritize building your email list from day one. Everything else rests on top of that foundation. And so, of course, I'm going to say this again. If you haven't grabbed it yet, go get the Media Machine Starter Pack. It's completely free, and it'll not only give you a ready-to-use 30-day content calendar, but also show you exactly how to structure your engine so you can start building your list today. Just comment Starter Pack below and I'll send it straight to you. Alright, let's put everything we've discussed today into a practical framework, because at the end of the day, building an audience is useless unless you can actually convert strangers into paying customers. And the way to think about this is through your funnel, like moving people from the top all the way to the bottom. Now, these people can come from anywhere. They might have discovered you on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok. It really doesn't matter. What matters is where they are in the funnel right now and how you're engaging with them. Let's start with cold leads. At the top of the funnel, you've got cold leads. These are strangers. They've maybe seen one of your videos or stumbled across your profile, but they don't really know you or trust you yet. They are lightly familiar with what you do, but they don't see the value clearly. They could also be someone who just doesn't understand the space well enough, but are kind of curious about the topic. Now, the real question is, how do you convert them? By giving them value, no strings attached. This is where free content and lead magnets come into play. Things like checklists, guides, or free templates go a long way. Even these videos, for that matter, is my way of publishing content out to not just my ideal prospects and my ideal customers, but to just provide free value and not really expect something in return. But through the course of doing that, I'm also building authority. And so that is going to go a long way, and the right people or my right customers are going to finally pay heed, and then eventually I can kind of move them down the funnel. Because when you give away value upfront, people lean in. They think, wow, if the free stuff is this good, imagine what the paid stuff is like. And this is the same thing that applies to lead magnets as well. And that's exactly why we built the Media Machine Starter Pack. It's not just a freebie like I mentioned earlier. It's a way to take someone who barely knows us and give them something practical that earns trust immediately. So if you're a business, a founder, or even a personal brand, this is where your cold leads start warming up through trust building value. Next, you've got warm leads. These people already know the space you operate in. They've seen some of your content, they might have downloaded your lead magnet, and they're starting to get familiar with you or your brand. At this stage, your job is to only nurture them. And nurturing means showing up consistently, demonstrating authority, and deepening the relationship. So this could take the form of a detailed YouTube video or a deep dive, or a live session, a webinar, or even a workshop where you walk them through real strategies. Think about it like this. Warm leads don't need convincing that the problem exists. They just need convincing that you are the right person to solve it. And then finally, at the bottom of the funnel, you have hot leads. Hot leads are the gold mine. These are the people who are actively experiencing the pain point you addressed with your product or service. They've been following you or your brand for a while. They trust you, or they're in a position of urgency and intent, and so they need a solution right now. Or they're nurtured enough and they are the hot lead, but they don't need the solution right now, but they will in the near future. And here's a massive mistake most people, businesses, and creators make. When they start creating content, they focus their content on chasing cold leads or random views. You know, and that whole idea to go viral, they're creating very broad, generic type of videos, or videos that's worked for other channels. When in reality, the highest leverage is to create content that speaks directly to your hot leads. And that's where the real conversations happen, because hot leads are the ones most likely to engage with your videos and, more importantly, pull out their wallets and buy. So when you're building your content strategy, ask yourself, if I were my ideal hot lead, what would I need to see today that would make me say yes? What would I need to see today to even think about clicking on the video and watching it completely? If you can answer those questions and consistently create for that person, you will 100% win. Now, here's the beauty of this whole system. Over time, as you keep publishing, as you keep giving value, and as you keep building trust, people naturally move down the funnel. Cold leads become warm, warm leads become hot, and hot leads become paying customers. Sounded so weird and strange to say, but anyway, it's not magic, it's not luck, it's not virality. It's simply the compounding effect of clarity, consistency, and strategy. And when you do this right, your business doesn't just grow in views or likes, it grows in customers, clients, and revenue. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, Wow, this sounds like a lot to juggle. From funnel to audience to positioning, offers, content strategy. Yeah, there's no denying there's a lot here. And that's literally why we built Unimedia. We take care of it all for you, from content strategy to shooting guidance to editing, publishing, analytics, titles, thumbnails, even marketing strategy, all handled end to end. We basically become your personal media house. And like I mentioned earlier, we are currently taking on 2 more clients. And here's the deal. If you're ready to start today, skip the call and pay directly. We'll credit you $500 back on your first month. But if you're the kind of person who'd rather chat and discuss details, you can still book a call with our team. Both links are in the description. Before we wrap up, I know I've already given you a few reasons today why you shouldn't chase virality, but did you know going viral could actually kill your business? That's not clickbait, because in this next video, I break down exactly why chasing virality can destroy brands, and more importantly, how you can avoid the trap and grow profitably. It ties perfectly back to what we covered here today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you here.